Oh, you're exactly right. It is a Tuesday edition, orange and blue today. Rock and roll, Andrew Mason.
You said I'm exactly right. What am I exactly right about?
A lot of things, man. A lot of things. Right about Bo Nix, right?
Seems that way.
Doesn't it feel good? Have a franchise quarterback?
Well, just because you've got the guy that you feel like you can build around, it doesn't mean there aren't going to be bumps along the way. And I think, we see what's happened to CJ Stroud this year in Houston. It shows that it's not an incline. So I don't want everybody to think it's going to be just smiles, sunshine, seashells, balloons, rainbows, and all that. But Bo Nix, what we're seeing from Bo Nix shows that he's good enough to withstand the bumps that are going to come at some point. So there's a lot to be excited about there.
And when he throws 3 picks, I'm not going to lose my mind because it's struggle, improve, excel. It's what Bo Nix does.
That, by the way, I'm trying to figure out, we've seen a couple of really crazed looks almost in sports in the last about 52 hours or so as we record this, because there's the Bo Nix eyes, and then there's Danny Hurley, the Connecticut men's basketball coach, just looking absolutely insane again today when going up against the Colorado Buffaloes. And by the way, shout out to Buffs men's basketball for beating the 2-time defending national champions in Maui this afternoon. But I saw there was one look in particular where Hurley was getting held back by the coaches, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of harmful crazy. Whereas Bo Nix with the eyes, it's kind of, go get him crazy.
Yeah, I love it. I ain't afraid of nothing, says Bo Nix, and I am going to find that GIF so we can see. We can lip read what Bo Nix says, but I'll say what Bo Nix needs to say, and maybe we'll be a little bit different on this one, Mason. Plenty of draft coverage coming up forever. We're going to outdraft everybody. Your best Broncos draft show is right here. We're the only show that goes to everything, so we'll be there once again. But as I look to fixing this ground game, because I don't think it's right with the 3-headed running back by committee. Now, I'm different. I'm old school. I like the bell cow and maybe a change of pace guy to catch some passes here or there. But I want that guy that can be on the field to get 25 touches. And I feel even conservative saying 25 touches. I would like more. But let's just start at 20, right? Can we get one guy, get 20 touches in this backfield regularly and consistently? Because for me, the 3-headed hot hand approach, when you have 3 running backs, it means you really have none.
It means you don't have the focal point. Doesn't mean you can't be productive. I mean, you look at a lot of years where Bill Belichick just basically tailored his running backs that he used to the matchup. But I also recall there was a couple of years there back in the mid-2000s when the Patriots were, I believe, won back-to-back Super Bowls. Did they not have Corey Dillon at that time?
Mm-hmm.
Just who was the bell cow back, who was handling all the work. So I would also offer this, and you can counter me on this. It's just my theory, or my hypothesis, I should say.
Sure.
You are a fantasy football player and a fantasy football analyst, and it is much easier to discuss running backs and plan for your lineup when a team has the bell cow. See, me, I don't give a crap about that, but I know you do.
Yeah, and this is not a fantasy take. This is just a football take. Like, I've always been a, running back fan. Most of my jerseys, and I don't collect as many as I used to, but I have 80 NFL jerseys. Most of them, Mace, are running backs. I flippin' love the position. I love one of my most cherished jerseys is a Barry Foster Carolina jersey.
Oh my gosh.
It didn't work out for him there. Didn't work out for him there.
What compelled you?
It's odd. It's odd.
Do you have,
I like that oddball. I have a Barry Foster Steelers one too.
Do you have an Emmitt Smith Cardinals jersey?
No, I don't like Emmitt Smith.
How about a Garrison Hurst Broncos jersey?
I have a Garrison Hurst Cardinals jersey, which was not abnormal. My other one probably that's a little bit weird is Eric Dickerson Falcons. I had to get that one custom made. And then Ricky Waters Seahawks. So I kind of like that. But for me, is it working? Is it working? You know, I heard you on with the fellas this morning on Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, and everybody's on vacation or whatever. It's the holidays, but
not for us.
I know. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you said like, hey, you know, it's good enough. I think I'll just summarize kind of what you said. Like, it's good enough. Come playoff time, Mace, they're going to need a little bit more than good enough. So if that's like figuring out, and that's why I thought maybe secret code, this whole hot hand approach thing was like, it's really code to just get Estime going. And we haven't seen it in 2 weeks.
Well, Sean Payton is saying he wants to get Estime the ball more. So it's building towards that, but here we are 3 weeks into the hot hand approach. And part of the reason why I'll say it hasn't appreciably hurt the Broncos to this point is that you've scored 81 points in those 3 games. You've got 27 points a game since going to the hot hand. So on the surface, it's not hurting the Broncos. I think it's the best they can do with what they have. It doesn't mean that running back isn't a need potentially going into the offseason, but it's the best they can do right now. That being said, I mean, you take a look at teams that are successful. What are the things that make that possible? You don't see a huge correlation between bell cow running back and success in the NFL.
Unless you talk to the teams that got rid of Derrick Henry and the teams that got rid of Saquon Barkley. The Giants are a disaster, and the Titans are just, pretty bad. Like Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley make a difference. And this is where Ashton Jensen comes in the conversation. But you give Derrick Henry to Baltimore, that's dangerous. And we're seeing it. Saquon Barkley with the Eagles, we're seeing it.
Did they not have losing records with those running backs? So I would argue it goes back to the quarterback, right? It goes back to in Tennessee, Ryan Tannehill going downhill and then eventually out. With the Giants, it goes to Daniel Jones not being the guy, right? These are the things that are more important for determining what your ceiling is.
Well, let me use your argument against you, Mace, as we have a little tit for tat, which I love. Okay, Bo Nix is a good quarterback. We can both agree on that, of course. We were there everywhere with Bo Nix. So what you're saying is true. Hey, is Ryan Tannehill a million years old and Daniel Jones stinks and whatever? That's very true. Now give those backs to good quarterbacks. Now give Bo Nix a good running back. I mean, it's just going to make everything better. And I don't think they have it. And for me, regular season is one thing. Postseason is where I want at least to be a tough out. I'm not going to say make a run at the Super Bowl this year. I might say that next year, though, if they get the right running back with Bo. So I think we're kind of both right about the running back position.
Okay. Here's my counter to this. Can you tell me the last time a team with a 1,200-yard running back won the Super Bowl?
It's probably been a minute.
Yeah, because I've got the last 10 years of 1,200-yard running backs in front of me. Okay.
1,200 is a good number too. It's better than 1,000.
Right. 1,000's, especially in a 17-game season, 1,000 is
that's
not
55
the highest
yards
bar
a
here.
game. Yeah.
So you have running backs that have made the Super Bowl. Christian McCaffrey last year with San Francisco.
Okay.
Joe Mixon in 2021 with Cincinnati. Miles Sanders with Philadelphia in 2022, 1,269 yards. But let's see, 2019, no. 2018, Todd Gurley makes the Super Bowl with the Rams. 2017, no. 2016, no. 2015, no. We got to go back a little further than that, see? So we got to go back to – I got to do another search here.
Yeah, go before Super Bowl 50, basically.
before the Broncos' last Super Bowl win, yes. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe is it Marshawn Lynch? Yep, Marshawn Lynch, the last 1,200-yard running back, part of a Super Bowl winning team.
Okay, and he had that in common with a great defense
and a cost control quarterback. Now, this actually
That's
favors your argument.
Gente.
This favors your argument because it's the cost control quarterback with a 1,200-yard running back, and then you've spent on defense. And let's talk about the defensive expenditures. Woo. You've spent on Zach Allen. You're probably going to have to work on an extension for him at some point. You've spent on Jonathan Cooper. You've spent on Pat Surtain, and Nick Bonito is speeding towards a big contract. Now, you can do that when your quarterback is cost controlled.
Yes.
The question then becomes, do you want to spend on receiver more than you are, or are you good? And this is where the emergence of Devon Vele also comes into play as well, because if you have Vele emerging as a wide receiver too, you can, if you want to have Courtland Sutton back, you can. I mean, maybe you want to keep him right at about that level where he is in terms of his contract. I'm not sure I'd give Courtland Sutton a huge raise and put him into that elite tier of receiver contracts, but maybe there's a happy medium to which that you can find with him.
I think he would agree to it as well, Mace. I think Court would agree to it. And when we brought up his numbers being similar to last year, except for the touchdowns, I also forgot to add, he had a game with a goose egg. He had a game with 0 targets, 0 catches. And he's already at last year's numbers. Yeah. So, like, I think Sutton would come around, and this Bo thing, guys are excited to play for Bo. And Wes, good guy. We love Wes. He's like, need running back, wide receiver, tight end. Are we sure about receiver? You and I are going to have great debates about running back and tight end this offseason.
We both know their needs, right?
Mm-hmm. But is wide receiver really that need if Vele's the guy? Maybe Franklin's a slow starter. Maybe Mims comes around to be more than just like a mini joker or whatever. Like, okay, draft a wide receiver on day 3. Mm-hmm. Sure. We'll find some guys at the Shrine game that we love. That'll be day 3 wide receivers like Malik Washington. He makes plays every once in a while for the Dolphins from a fantasy football lens, Mace. And it's like, I love him. I love him in Dynasty because we loved him at the Shrine game. So, okay, maybe wide receiver day 3, but brother, I'm here to tell you it's going to be running back or tight end in round 1 unless it's tackle.
Well, and let's also talk about the tight ends on the free agent market because some of the names I'm going to throw at you: Tyler Conklin, Juwan Johnson, Mo Alley Cox, Austin Hooper, Mike Gesicki. If you want a 40-year-old Mercedes Lewis, he's going to be on the market. Where the free agents market stands at tight end right now, help is not on the way from the veterans. Okay.
Yeah. So that's out.
And so, yes, you're going to have the situation you talked about. And it's true. Tight ends, it's usually a pretty long on-ramp, but can you find the right kind of tight end where it's okay, while they are developing the other elements of their game, can they be a plus player for you right away as a pass catcher while they figure out how to block? That may be sort of the happy medium that you're looking for here, is somebody who can be a dynamic target. But again, those dynamic targets, if you get lucky, you can find those in the mid rounds. But if you want somebody who can step in and be an immediate contributor, like for example, you had Kyle Pitts, for all the ups and downs that he's had. He was an immediate upgrade for the Falcons when he came in there, and he was a first-round pick. If you want somebody who can step in and really provide something right away, you're going to have to use a premium pick on that player.
Yeah. So we will see. And then we'll see. I mean, with 5 games left, I don't think my mind is made up, Mace, on Audric Estime. He can be part of something next year. But with 7 games left, I had mistakenly thought, like, oh, we're going to see the Audric Estime show. And still, the coaches are true to their word. Joe Lombardi told us, hey, we're going to give you the ball, and if you produce, we're going to keep giving the ball. So Javonte's likely gone. We'll see. Jalil's always going to be kind of Jalil, which is fine.
But he was the hot hand on Sunday. Like,
and I say this with all due respect, but hot hands for 40 yards ain't hot, baby. Like, I get what you're saying, and they won big. But again, for me,
it's
old school football fan,
6.3 yards a carry. That's
that's good. I still want a guy that's like 125 yards. He's our guy, and I don't think Jaleel will ever do that.
But this was also a stacked box game, don't forget, too. So
when do defenses adjust then? You know what I mean? Like, hey, we're going to dare Bo to beat us. Oh, crap, Bo beat us. When do they change? And does that open things up for Estime or Javonte or whoever?
Yeah, it should. I mean, Javonte Williams had 8 carries for -2 yards on Sunday.
Not great,
Javonte actually led them in rushing, but when they actually needed yards, it was Jaleel. And again, if they're going heavy in the box, then with Jaleel, it was let's bounce them outside. That's the path to get something on the ground, to have some balance to this offense. The other thing, of course, is involving them as a pass catcher. I mean, it wasn't even a good day for Jaleel as a pass catcher on Sunday either. I mean, 4 yards from 10 touches total when we're counting the receptions. Like you said, not great, Bob.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say this. I respect the Broncos sticking with this. And I look, I know it's not ideal, but it can work. The key to it working is identifying the right person relatively early on. And then, of course, with Jaleel, the thing is you have to live with him not being a plus player in pass protection. There was one. Now, he can put his body in there in blitz pickup, but there was one where it was very lucky to not get called for a hold because he just put his arms around the guy. Like he gave him a hug. And I saw that. I'm like, oh boy, whoops. You're flirting with disaster there, Jaleel. Come on, man. But it's what his body type allows him to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think perhaps next year we're talking about Jaleel McLaughlin getting to the role that does suit him. This year, you wanted to give him a shot. He certainly worked hard to get more opportunities, but we do see that in terms of the pass protection aspect of his game, which you do need to be an every down running back, that's something that you can't count on coming. But at the same time, he does that when he is the hot hand. He does have some value.
Ryan asks us in the chat room, is this the most fun you guys have had covering the Broncos? I'd say, Mace, when you won a Super Bowl ring with the team, and the Peyton Manning days were just so fun. The first game of the year against Baltimore after the playoff disaster, when 2013 kicked off, that offense was so fun. Those 7 touchdowns were so fun. I hate Baltimore, hate Joe Flacco. When Peyton Manning got those TDs and Julius Thomas's coming out game, which we loved him at the Shrine game, like I love that. That was fun. That was fun.
The thing with that game is it was like you realize that watching this offense was going to be like watching a video game.
Oh yeah.
And when Julius Thomas emerging was like the final piece of that puzzle, because then it was like, oh man, they got Wes Welker and Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker. All these guys can beat you. Julius Thomas can beat you. And then Sean Moreno looked like a first-round pick that year. It's like, what do? You couldn't stop all of them. Well, until Seattle did.
Yeah, wow.
But it was, it's enjoyable, and it feels nice to drink some water after walking through the desert for a while. That's what I would say. It's not so much like it's the best time I've had covering the team. It feels like a relief. Like you're getting some nourishment now.
Right.
And you're just happy for that. Whereas when it's really popping, you're dazzled, and then it's really fun. And that's the difference between a team that I think has legitimate Super Bowl aspirations and then one that I think their thought is let's get into the dance and see what happens. I think, Malcolm Roach even mentioned that, like, it's, the focus on getting to the playoffs. I think you kind of see. I think the reality is that they may get to they can get to the playoffs and maybe win a game or two. I think the whole kit and caboodle is probably a bit beyond their reach right now. That's okay. But I think you can be talking about this team getting the playoffs and then if things break right, winning a game. And then we'll see. I just don't think that this team has 3 road wins plus a Super Bowl win. I don't think this team has that in it just yet.
They're building, though.
They're building. But we even, like, against the Raiders, okay? And this is where you got a reminder that this building process is far from complete. Because you take Zach Allen out of the mix, and all of a sudden it's the struggle bus in trying to stop the run.
Yeah.
That was something, it hit me. It was you and I talked about this on the radio today. Zach Allen, for all of his punch as a pass rusher, they were able to effectively compensate for his loss in that area. They were not effectively able to compensate for Zach Allen's loss against the run.
Yep.
And this is why Allen's status this week is going to be just massive in determining what happens, because even though he hasn't quite gotten back to his old level just yet, you are staring at Nick Chubb coming in.
That's a problem.
And without Zach Allen, I fear it could be the breakthrough game for Nick Chubb coming back.
And you don't
That's
want
something
that.
I would worry about. No. Because it's gonna happen this year for Chubb before the end of the year. He's gonna pop.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want it to be against you, but he's gonna pop on somebody.
No, and we've even seen backup running backs pop on this team years ago. I remember the Dearness Johnson game. I was like, really? Really? That guy?
Gosh.
Okay, that guy.
Dearness Johnson, man. I mean, look, it took Justin Sternad 3 years to get back in the lineup at inside linebacker after that day.
You ain't lying.
Yeah. Because there were cleat marks on the linebackers that were left by Dearness Johnson.
Yeah.
Dearness Johnson and Case Keenum starting that game. The crazy thing about that Browns game, Cease, it was 17-14 on the scoreboard.
Mm-hmm.
There has not been a game I've covered that was more deceptive on the scoreline compared to the actual run of play than that one right there. Cleveland won by 3, but anyone who watched that game knows they physically dominated the Broncos.
And it wasn't close. It was close, but it wasn't really close.
Yeah. There haven't been many games in which you had a 150-yard advantage in total yardage. You had an advantage in the turnover margin, and yet you only won by 3. That would actually be something worth looking up. Like, it didn't make sense. Dearness Johnson. Yeah, I'm on that game right now, by the way. 146 yards on 22 carries. God. It was so easy. So
yeah. It was like hot knife through butter.
Let's not replay that. Let's focus on the positive. Let's focus on what makes this Broncos team different. That, first of all, it's the resilience to overcome losing Zach Allen, obviously against a lousy Raiders team, but that's who was in front of you. They certainly were bringing everything at you. But overall, this team being different and not just different in terms of the quarterback position. This is what Sean Payton had to say regarding that on Monday.
It's addition, it's subtraction. Look, it's not your sexy story about one QB for the other. That's not the narrative here. That's not the story at all. It's a number of different changes, a new draft class, Brandon Jones, John Franklin Myers, Malcolm Roach, on and on and on. And sometimes as a coach, like you're not certain as to, like, all right, who was the most important one, or if there was a most important one, and then it was moving on from a handful, and you know this, with the changes, you have a different team. And so it's not at all a one position discussion. It's just a different team.
Different overall, different feel too, and surrounding this entire team.
Different locker room, different personalities. I mean, someone like Malcolm Roach is a good personality who's come in there. John Franklin Myers, but
he's all personality.
Let's touch on Brandon Jones for a moment, though. I want to play the other Sean Payton comment about the safety play. Of course, Brandon Jones with the key interception, right place, right time. Gardner Minshew is going to give you a gift, and it's just a question of whether you take it. You get one gift from Minshew every game. The Broncos took it back in October. Pat Surtain took it to the house, and then when Gardner Minshew gave that gift in the third quarter on Sunday, Brandon Jones took it, set up a touchdown pass from Bo Nix to Courtland Sutton. Safety play, in Sean Payton's eyes, listen to what he has to say comparing last year to this year.
We're better overall on the back end at that position than we were a year ago. And we've played a few different guys back there, but I like how we're playing. We're communicating. Our guys on defense, Vance and Jim Leonard and all those guys are doing a fantastic job, but we're definitely, I would say, further along, and it was a good performance by those guys yesterday.
Kareem Jackson has something to say about that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he actually quote tweeted the video I put up on Twitter. He said, laughing crying emoji twice. If it's one thing I've learned in this league after being in it for 15 years, some of these coaches will say any damn thing, even if it's them putting their foot in their mouth. LOL. So PJ and B Jones, shout out PJ and B Jones, because I love what they're doing this year. Keep going, fellas. Salute.
Okay, wait a second. What? So he was like making fun of Sean Payton, and then he's saluting to the guys.
Yeah, like he's saluting his PJ. Guys. But yeah, coaches will say any damn thing.
Okay.
Yes. And I do wonder what the conversation with Sean Payton and Kareem Jackson would be like, because remember, Sean Payton kind of wined and dined Kareem Jackson to get him to come back in 2023. Yes. But yeah, like so Kareem Jackson loves what PJ and Brandon Jones are doing, but says that Sean Payton's putting his foot in his mouth.
Okay. There you go. That's
it was funny when I put it out, when I put that quote out there, I'm like, okay, this is going to get to Justin and Kareem. It was like,
yes,
in the NFL, when things are said, they end up getting around. Even if they're said in private, they end up getting around, right? That's just how this thing works.
Yes.
So, it was an interesting response. That's when I saw Kareem Jackson. It also shows that, hey, K-Jack still kind of has the rabbit ears up a little bit.
He probably has the alert set so that when his name is mentioned, actually, no, you didn't mention his name. Nobody mentioned his name.
No, Well, here's what I tweeted. After moving on from Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson, not his Twitter handle, his name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be Google allows you to do that when your name is mentioned. Like you'll get an email. So
see there, Cecil Lammey is not the most typical
not
of
very
names.
common. Yeah.
Andrew Mason's sort of generic, right? I searched for Andrew Mason and 1,000,001 things come up.
Not the stunt coordinator, but the visual effects coordinator for the Crow in '94. His name's Andrew Mason.
There was the Groupon guy was Andrew Mason too.
Really?
The guy, invented Groupon, that named Andrew Mason. So
okay, all right.
Yeah,
you're a man of many things.
Obviously, yeah. So I can't have nor do I want to have rabbit ears on it. It's just.
I had to tell my friends to stop. Because years ago, they would send me stuff. Did you see what this guy said about you on? No, I don't need to know what the Orange Mane thinks of me. I don't need to know what Reddit thinks of me. Oh my God, Reddit! You guys got to take it easy on old Cecil Lammey.
I have searched on Reddit a couple of times. It's a set. It seems like a little bit of a cesspool. I mean, actually, I shouldn't say that, but there are a couple of people in the Broncos subreddit that prevent me from ever being. I wouldn't mind being in the conversation regularly, but as long as there's at least one person there that puts outright lies there about me, then I'm not going to go there.
Well, we can go to our YouTube and comment with people just as you and I do. We comment with you on these videos. Now the chat room is great. We need you. But Mace, you comment on these videos down below. We'll come in and say something.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when I have time. That's sometimes it's just I need to get away from the old laptop here, right? I mean, sometimes you just need a break.
Yes.
You can only wear the anti-glare glasses for so long.
Sometimes I need eye drops. My eyes really bothering me. Not for that reason, pot stoner degenerate. I know what what Jason's thinking over there. No. My eyes are just bothering me.
Easy.
Easy does it. This team is special. Pat Surtain said it, and I believe him, yo.
I just think that we got a great thing going on. You can feel it. You can feel the energy, the vibe around the locker room, and the camaraderie just going to keep on building. So, this team is special, and I'm looking forward to our future success for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We'll watch their careers with great interest.
Gosh.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
I know. That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
We'll watch the development of this team with great interest because while it's an exciting time in Broncos country, I think Sunday kind of showed that it's still on a knife's edge around here. That now they have the resourcefulness to overcome adversity. Like when they were behind at halftime, 13-9, I thought, okay, they're still in pretty good shape here. They're not playing well, but they're okay. Past years, I would have been like, oh, they're done. That's not the case anymore. But you've got a situation where you looks like you're going to miss Riley Moss for some time here. And you've got Zach Allen hopefully back by Monday. But this is where you're gonna have a stress test on this team here. And if Miami continues to put things together, the Broncos aren't going to have a margin for error. Between Miami, there are two really important games before the Broncos take the field on Monday night. One is Miami at Green Bay on Thanksgiving night. One is Cincinnati hosting Pittsburgh. You get a Steelers win, you get a Packers win, then you can start talking about some space, some margin for error.
Yep.
You get a Bengals win with the three games they've got on the other side of this, which are very winnable for them. You get a Dolphins win in Green Bay, and all of a sudden, you can't afford to slip up.
The pucker factor will be high.
Yes.
I like the fact that this team won't relax, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're the type. They won't do what CU did against Kansas, where it's like, we're the best, everybody. We're going. We made it. And then Kansas just curb stomps you.
Yeah, and I still don't understand how CU went into the game with that mindset because KU had played really well the previous 2 games. I mean, KU went into BYU and knocked them from the ranks of the unbeaten.
Yeah.
And mistakenly I thought, oh, this will get the message up in Boulder. Nope, didn't happen. Didn't happen. So, but the Broncos, I thought, even though they weren't at their best, I thought the Broncos got the right message from watching or at least being aware of what happened on Thursday night when Cleveland faced Pittsburgh. And I think that message will linger into next Monday night as well when you're facing that same Browns team that just beat the Steelers and a Browns team that was in the playoffs last year. I don't think you're going to see them look past Cleveland at all.
Primetime stage. Everyone watching Bo Nix.
Not looking ahead to the bye, not thinking. And I think even if they do get the results that they would like to have in the games that are played on Thursday and Sunday, I don't think you'll see the Broncos relax in that instance either. So
it's what's going to make them a tough out if and when they get to the postseason. Mace, how you feeling? How you doing, man? Tuesday.
I got to blow my nose.
I mean, I can't shut
I don't
off
have
your
a
camera.
tissue here. Like I don't have a no.
You always gotta have the tissue. Have the tissue next to your computer.
I've got an issue. I need a tissue.
All right, you want to head out for today, and we'll be in the locker room tomorrow, getting the show for everyone. We have no idea for a Holy Diver, our guy. We have no idea when the show is going to start. It just depends on the Broncos. So please forgive us.
Yeah, we'll do our best to have it at a reasonable time, but we do not know. Could be 5:30 Mountain Time. Here's one thing we do know. Thanksgiving, barring anything unforeseen, Thanksgiving's a day off.
A rare day off.
Yeah. But we'll have a show Friday, and we'll have a show Saturday, and we'll have a show Sunday. And yeah, we'll have a show Monday too, won't we? Pre-game.
Yep.
We got to talk about our shooting schedule. So anyway.
Yeah, we do. What's the show Sunday?
I think what we do is we take our normal 45-minute pregame thing that we were doing for the radio that we're not doing this week. I think we divide it kind of into 2, one for Sunday, one for Monday.
I was going to say, because isn't that Monday show?
I think, well, we've been basically doing like 3 segments worth. I think we basically kind of have 1 segment as one show and then 2 segments as one show. I think there's a way we can do it.
We'll talk about it. Because I got time. This is off-air conversation. I got time for Saturday for 1 show. Well, Saturday's pretty full, so
we'll probably have to be shooting on Sunday. Then is what I'm saying. So,
yeah, maybe not. We'll talk about it.
Not Sunday. Okay, we'll talk about it. Wow. All right, then. Then you're kind of getting the plan. You're watching this to the end. You're getting the planning here. It did not go as I expected it would.
We got to talk about it. Anyway, how do they help us out on YouTube, Mace?
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell
so that you
never
miss a vid. That's right. He's Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying OBT's BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. And would you please get a tissue and stay frosty.